So let me ask a question I think would be valuable for a lot of people listening. How were you able to network with people to get up to a stage where you're talking with, you know, established developers, people that are willing to take down deals, have the capability of doing deals that are in the millions of dollars? I mean, if it supports a $1.2 million fee, I mean, it's probably, in the tens of millions of dollars
Hmm.
range for the property. How were you able to get in touch with people like that? And then how were you able to maintain a relationship over, several years or a couple years to that the point where something came through, you felt comfortable picking up the phone and saying, "Hey, I've got something that I think would interest you"?
Great question. I would say the first place that I started was just going to a ton of conferences. I knew I wanted to be in the affordable housing space. I knew I wanted to be in the development space, and I knew I wanted to be in kind of community development finance space. So I would go year after year to at least 5 to 7 conferences. And then eventually you start to see these people over and over and over again, right?
Mhm.
So when you're at the conference, the people at the conference are uh, industry leaders or subject matter experts in whatever they do. Like that is why they are there. So when I am there and, I'm giving out my business cards and talking and things like that, the position in which I put myself in is developer, right? But I also come with extreme humility to the point where it's like, I know I'm not, insert developer here. This is him 30 years ago, right? Like this
Mhm.
is me trying to get there. So then you'll find people that are willing to like have a conversation with you because it's something that they don't typically see. You don't see people willing to go outside their comfort zone and build these relationships and be in these rooms and be intentional about how they are, taking the proper steps to do this work. Because there's no traditional path. Like you can't go to school, graduate, and become a developer. It just doesn't happen. There's
Yeah.
there's no um, recipe. There's no, you can't, it's not being a chef or a dentist or a doctor, any of that. So you had to be creative in your entry point. And for me, it was just building and leveraging relationships. So when I would go to the affordable housing conferences, I would see other developers, I would see syndicators, I would see construction companies and property management companies, and you know the list goes on, attorneys, et cetera. So it's like, oh, this is what a real estate team consists of.
Mhm.
Okay, well, let me pick your brain. While we're here, you're already here. Let's
Mhm.
talk for a good 5 to 10 minutes. Let me show you that I at least know enough for us to start this conversation. And let me ask for your time at a later point, because at the end of the day, it's always an exchange of value. Sometimes people's value is simply wanting to help the next generation of people, So it's like, how can I put myself in a position to where someone who's extremely busy is willing to allocate their time towards me? The only way you can do that is to do your homework and to get recommendations from other people that have already started to get to know who you were, get to understand what makes you tick. And I think the mission behind what I was doing helped a lot as well, because it was genuine, it was pure, it was authentic. Like, this guy is, no matter what, gonna do this. So if I can help in some way, shape, or form, I'm gonna take that step. They say that um, success has many parents, but failure is an orphan, right? It's like, as you're growing, you can build that steam up and you can build a ton of relationships. But the moment you fail, it's that much harder to do it. So just make sure you put yourself in a position to be successful in every minor step of the way, so people can continue to go down that path with
I
Mhm.
think the other thing that you mentioned, it's not a sprint, right? It's a marathon. So you can't, I see it all the time today, a 22-year-old kid, not unsimilar to yourself or Chris or myself. You want to get involved and you want to make $1 million day one, when you realize that, real estate is a marathon. It might even be an Ironman, right? It's not a 100-meter sprint that you start today and bang, you have $1 million on your first development fee or whatever it is. There's going to be ups and downs, but like you said, you got to put yourself in the position to succeed by networking, by going to events, by talking to everybody. And then you basically, without, calling a spade, you're giving everybody a value. Okay, I find this
you.
person to be extremely valuable. I'm going to put them higher up in my contacts, and this
Mm-hmm.
person probably is a waste of my time. But
Mm-hmm.
you still have to go through the waste of times to pick the brains to find out who's going to be the value of you to you in the future. So most people don't want to hear that story. Most people want to hear, every single Instagram ad and Facebook ad. It's all bought a house, flipped. I saw a post the other day, like flip 5 houses in 5 days. And I'm like, that's just fucking bullshit. It's yes, you might be able to do that, but realistically, you got to realize that you are lacing up your shoes for a marathon, and you're starting today. When you first start to, you start your marathon, you're not running full speed out of the box. You're never going to make it. So if you take your time, put yourself in the right position, don't bring shitty deals, understand what you're getting yourself on. And you illustrated that perfectly. And I don't think people talk about it enough, because everybody wants the shiny object, quick flip, fast money. It just doesn't work that way. There is time and effort that goes into everything that's done.
I agree 100%, man. The propaganda on the internet today is ridiculous. I mean, real estate is one of the most sexy industries, right? Real estate and tech, I would say those are the 2 most sexy industries in the world right now. So you get these like people who study, Robert Kiyosaki and do a modern day version of Rich Dad Poor Dad, where, you may have some real estate experience, but the primary meat and core of your money came from sales of this product, which is just teaching, right? Like, you are a New York Times bestseller. You're not necessarily a real estate investor, right? Like there's a difference. And I think what's going on in the media now is that people are becoming social media experts and marketers, and they're not actually real estate investors or developers. And what happens is marketers can also be chameleons. They're oftentimes chameleons, right? Like, you all do really good at the marketing work and what you do, so you understand it. But the reason why I gravitated towards everything that you all are doing is because there's substance behind it. Like, when I watch a video, I know that I'm going to get something that's meaningful. Mm-hmm. As opposed to those 5 flips in 5 days, I wouldn't even turn it on, because there's no value there. Like, you're using propaganda to just extract attention to hopefully put them in a funnel and sell them a course. That's not what real estate is about. Real estate is the long game. It's a marathon. It's, like you said, an Ironman competition. And you have to understand that there's no get rich quick. And even if it is, 2008 happens, right? So get rich quick and then you go down quick, right? Like, it's going to happen. Real estate is extremely cyclical. And if you don't fully understand the real estate process at every single stage in which it is, and really what you are doing in your relationship with that stage, you're going to be in trouble. So I agree.
It's funny you bring that up, because the other day I was talking to a friend of mine who he's in his 70s, and he's been through a lot. And he said, his kid brings him, and he's got a younger kid in his 30s who his dad's been very successful, so he has not had to really work. And the kid wants to get involved, and he keeps bringing him like drop shipping things and real estate courses. And the dad's like, I was talking to him about it because he asked me what my opinion on something was. I said, listen, there's nothing wrong with those things, right? It's what you get out of it that's going to help set the foundation for whatever you want to do. But he said, how do you take advice from a 22-year-old kid on the internet that's flipping houses? The kid probably doesn't even own a house. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with, a 22-year-old coach. I'm saying that, take advice from someone that's done it, not someone that's really good at putting together the marketing. Because you're right, marketers are chameleons, and you can sell anything with good advertising, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they know what they're doing. They're just good at selling it. They're a teacher, and that's fine. But I always tell people, buy 10 courses or put 50 grand into a house and mess it up. You're going to get more out of the mistake than you're going to get out of the guy that gives you a 12-week program online. Not saying it's bad, but everything out there now is just shiny object in front of people's face for $9.99 or $6.59. Then you buy that, then you spend another $250, and then you get a special ebook for $350. And next thing you know, you're $5,000 into it, and nothing's happened. If you put out good content and you are, engaging and people can learn from it, that's going to benefit, 5 ways over. And that's,
absolutely.
One thing I believe, coaches, mentors, programs, they're good. I'm not talking badly about them, but understand that, you got to do it. You got to get advice from someone that's done it, and you got to take their advice and use it. Because if I tell you something to do and you don't do it, shame on me for maybe telling you the wrong thing, or more often than not, shame on the person for not implementing it, doing it. So you're 100% right. And that's the scary thing out there right now, is just there's so many people that can sell a program that may or may not yield anything.
I agree. So before you go, Chris, like for me, I take a lot of pride in the work that I've done, right? So it's like I've done a 60 unit new development. I've done an 89 unit. I have a 79 unit. I have a 150 unit. I have retail. I have mixed use. I have $200 million pipeline currently. Like, that's all me. And I don't have any staff. It's literally just me. And I'm the lead developer on most of all of that. So, and co-own some, but I'm actively doing it, which is why, as much as I study the marketing and know how it goes and plan to put more content out, I just don't really have that much time right now until I build the capacity internally to be able to outsource some of those roles and then streamline the rest of this stuff on this side. So same with you all. Like, how many doors do you have right now? 1,000, 3,000 or so?
Just under 3,000.
Yeah, like 2,700 or
you know, to me, that means something. Like, I don't need to hear about a course that you're selling. I can actually see the work that you're doing, right? Like, if that is increased by 500 doors over the last 6 months, even if it decreases when you sell it, it's like there's activity there, and I know there's experience there. So when you're talking about the asset management perspective, when you're talking about the cost basis of, you know, how you're looking at some of these deals up front to be able to invest in it, like, you are a company that I would want to put my money with, right? As opposed to some of the other companies that are just flashy objects. So I agree 100%.
And we only paid him a little bit to say that, so we appreciate it.